Yes, indeed. Penguin is a style and a feeling, and it is the weekend feeling. Let us continue our derpy text adventure. Thanks for stopping by, Cosmo. Always appreciated. Tribes come and go, but the woods abide. So, why the hell? Some fishy things going on. There are some fishy things. What can I do? Sometimes there are bugs in the system. Let's continue. You're at an inn. In the morning, you can spend the entire day resting. All right. So we are at the inn. The locked windows make the air stuffy, and the weak fire in the stove hardly lightens up the hole. A muscular man is sweeping the floor near the stairs, but after he glances at you, he leans the broom against the wall and heads behind the counter. You're lucky to show up. His voice is deep and soft. With a city-like accent, he observes you with keen attention, yet avoids your eyes. I have a keg of decent ale, wormwood, bog mithril, juniper berries, cat's foot. Cat's foot. I don't know what that is, but it's some sort of cat foot. He fills a mug carefully and puts it on the countertop. It's going to spoil soon today, maybe, and we don't drink here before the evening. I hate to see the good stuff going to waste. His skin is dark, almost purple, rare amongst the southern tribes, and his hair is naturally bluish. His clothes are quite fancy for manual labor. The elegant tunic won't stand out in the city square. I stand at the counter. Okay. The planks let out a creak after every step you take, so you slow down a bit. You could swear the innkeeper made little to no noise. Here you go. He pushes the mug forward. But just so you know, my pelt of the north does not belong to Hoverland. You can sleep on the floor if you wish so, but if you want a bed or a meal, you have to pay. You may have some leftovers from dinner, but I'd need to check. Interesting. Let's see what our responses could be. The friendly one is, thanks for the drink. I see you know how to make friends with a Roadwarden. Happy to help. As a Roadwarden, I am more than capable of taking care of an entire caste, if you need me to. I won't be here for long. I introduce myself. Not here to pay compliments, to piss in a mug. I am a Roadwarden. I am looking for answers. Ooh, intimidating. How did we say? It said the other guy isn't really. I think it was in the journal here. No. Maybe the archive. Yesterday said someone isn't really in the mood to be friendly. Once you're ready, go inside, speak to your boss. Okay, the other guys take care of the various chores. They peek at your mount every now and then. Splitting firewood, clearing the clothes, weeding the garden patches, and moving chairs. Two of them are making a rope. Maybe I misremembered. This is quite funny though. Pay compliments to piss in a mug. Friendly, and I introduce myself as well. So let's do this one. For our first run, let's be a bit of a friendly fellow. Thanks for the drink. I see you know how to make friends with a Roadwarden. He meets your eyes with a puzzled look, then grabs a wet cloth and starts to wipe down the shelves. From time to time, your conversation is interrupted by splashes of dirty water in the wooden bucket. Well, nothing is truly free. I have work for a soul on the road, but I don't need a new mouth to babble. He speaks softly and yet audibly. I value my time. You should value yours. He was the asshole I should have been harsher with. Ignore the ale then. Sure, go ahead. Wait a second. Do we have... We should have some money, right? We need to be a bit more clean. Our appearance is terrible. But... Inventory. 5 coins. Okay, we have some money. I'm looking for Asterion, the previous Roadwarden. Are you now? He goes to the table and invites you to sit down with him. I don't think I'm going to be much help. He rests his elbows on the table top and grunts quietly to clear his throat. But I do want you to find him, so... When asked about his intention, he measures his words. Asterion and I made a risky deal. Well, a very promising one. Last time he was here, he took 50 coins, my half of the investment. He knocks on the table with a fist, anxiously. If you get my coin, or at least find out what happened to the guy, I make sure you won't be disappointed after bringing me the news. Could it be that Asterion stole the coins and ran away? He looks at the window and starts to play with a stutter. I just think Asterion ain't the kind of soul that would do such a thing. For him, it wasn't much of a fortune, and I'd risk saying he had earned my trust. Not only mine, but you know. It's easy for a Roadwarden to make connections. He always had places to go, things to take care of. He rubs the table with his thumb, as if trying to clean an invisible stain. I've asked travelers, I've sent a couple of my pals to find him. No real news. I know he stayed in the White Marshes for a day, and was meant to do something for the people there. It's a village in the northwest. Okay. Just stay on the main path until you reach the bogs and enter them. You may get there before dusk. So let me know once you find anything, and we may yet return to this whole investment thing. Think about it. I will think about it. How about a job? Do you need anything done? I assume you mean a job for a Roadwarden. Tell you what, he looks you in the eye. There are brigands in the woods. Our place is a stronghold, so I'm not afraid of an open strike. But they've gotten more active in the last 2 years. One day they may steal our furs, and I've no doubt They're the reason my merchants come here only once. Having bandits around gets expensive. He rubs his hands together, camouflaging his paws. I want you to reach Hovler's Dell, northwest from here, northwest. It is the large settlement around. I'm sure you'll get there sooner or later. Ask Thais, the mayor, about Glaucia, the bloodthirsty wolf of a woman. I've heard the rumors about a raid in the north. If Glaucia is ready to break the truce with the locals, I am willing to join forces with them to get rid of her band. He looks at a nearby dragon bone. Not too difficult, right? Just do it when you have a chance. A couple of days won't make much of a difference. I'll pay you 2 coins when you get back with the news. Fine? Free. 2, he growls. He growls for 2. Okay. What do you have for sale? I can go and pick up a few things for you. Some food for your travels to start with. Apples, nuts, sausages. Not too many at once. We need to maintain our supplies. I've got an elk fur I don't need. Its buyer caught by a pack of red wolves. Nice for a sleeping spot. Just as nice for a wall. An almost untouched bowl of soup. Priceless for a traveler. Almost untouched. You can't tell if it's being sarcastic. Maybe the fine oak ash, strong. Though you should have some better supplies before you start your own bathhouse. Oh, speaking of a bathhouse, I should get a wash. After you mention you'd like something more useful on the roads, he looks down. I don't have any blades or armor to spare, but if you pay well, you can take one of our crossbows and a bunch of quivers. If I could buy some quivers, that would be great. I have 2 left, I think. A yellow bow, wood cords, and the trigger needs a little bit of oil. It is as good as you can get without soaking it in magic. Takes a bit of muscle to draw, but even a 16-year-old could handle it. I won't sell it for cheap. I'm ready to give you a discount to a helpful ally. Let me take a look at that first. Oh, 2 coins. 19 coins for this. Jeez, no way I can take this. The quivers might be helpful. And food. Fine. An oak-based balm that burns skin on longer contact. A box of soap. Okay. Do I have anything you'd like to buy? How about that? You pull out some items, but the innkeeper shakes his head. I don't need those, nor could I sell them to anyone. I'd rather make coins than waste them. So bring me something of value. So I have 5 food rations, 2 coins. I have my old twinkle toes. Oh, I had 5. Oh no, I have 7 now. Oh, it's good. 7 is fine. Okay. Any leftovers? How about that? Yes, I feed them to our boar. I won't give them away for nothing. He tells you to wait. When he leaves the building for a few minutes and returns with a wooden bucket and a long stick ending with a hook. You go through the gate and turn left. You see a bunch of bushes. We need some berries. Bring me a bucket full. You'll be done in half an hour or so. Your horse could use a nap anyway. I'll prepare something to fill you. The hook is not made of metal or wood. It is long, curved claw, almost black. Half an hour? That's quite a lot of berry picking. The tools are cold, not too heavy. You notice a pair of thick gloves at the bottom of the bucket. Ah, the berries are not a problem, the innkeeper smirks. Unlike the snakes, beware. Better scare them away with the stick or move them with a hook and protect your hands. The little ones won't eat you, but don't get bitten, I'm sure. You know how to be patient. I have other questions. What about the peninsula? What could anyone say? This place doesn't even have a name unless there is an old book in an archive that no soul knows about. You know what I'd call everything from here to the coast? The hunting ground. He glances at your eye. But it is not us who hunt. Keep that in heart. But the beasts in all shapes and forms. His words gain confidence slowly, which is strengthened by his deep voice. I've lived in this inn for over 10 years now, and I've only seen a couple of roads, a couple of places. It is just once you get here and you see how harsh it is to hit the road, you have only more reason to stay at the warm stove behind a wall, even if it is suffocating. He looks towards the windows. I'm sure you've heard a lot already. That the people won't build hamlets anymore. There are no more ibexes from the south, and the traders stay only for a few days, and all our iron is used for cauldrons, not swords or tools. Okay. What will I find if I travel west? Well, there are hills nearby. When you find a village maybe an hour away from here, it was destroyed by beasts almost a decade ago. Nothing to see there. The goblins live there now, so most people just travel around it. They say it's haunted, but who knows? Who cares? He crosses his arms and starts to sway back and forth, gathering his thoughts. We'll get a large tree on the edge of the swamp. For the locals, it is sacred. You're not used to hearing someone mention pagans as if there's nothing unusual about them. There is a small path south which leads to an old mine in the mountains. Nothing to find there. But keep riding north and you will find Holler's Dell. Set at a clean brook. Farmers live there, and mufflons and druids. They'll let you stay for a night, but they're not cheap. If anyone thinks my prices are bad, it means they ain't been to Ape Ale Inn yet. He lets out a gentle smile. I nod. I know only a bit about the next settlement, Old Pagos. The soil there ain't too fertile, so they work in their quarry and help other settlements build things in exchange for crops. The forests and hills ain't too harsh, but the Seekers have a small monastery nearby. In the mountains. I don't care much about them. They keep to themselves and they don't pay well. The third village is unknown to me. White marshes set at the bogs. I've heard it smells like a griffin's lair. I've heard a lot of nasty rumors about the place, but I won't share them. I don't want to be a lie spreader. So 3 villages really. Hollers, the one near the monastery, whatever is cold, and marshes. Don't let their beds and palisades fool you, though. Weird people live there. Don't tell them more than you need to. You wonder if it's something he would tell other travelers as well. Okay. Are the eastern roads as rough as I've heard? Pretty much. Don't leave the main road, I'd say. Not so far from here you will find Old Dolmen. A few of my people have had to spend the night there, and monkeys stole food and gourds from their bags. It was their fault. One of them had fallen asleep in the middle of the watch. But you know, the eastern forests are wild, the roads are rough. Almost no soul lives there. One day all these roads will be swallowed by the trees again. The furthest my team has ever gone was the home of the Enchantress. Just stay on the track until you reach the crossroads, right near an abandoned watchtower. From there, turn east, you'll recognize the place. It is a nice home in a lonely meadow, surrounded by a wall. He looks towards the closed window, then at you again. Kind of like our walls, but simpler, without coating. She lives like a hermit. Eudocia, or Eudocia. I don't even know how she survives there, but if you have decent coin, you won't find much there. If you don't have decent coin, I spent my coins with you. So, back to the crossroads. If you turn left instead, you will see a road. People stay away from it. It's connected to the tower and the monastery, a shortcut between two sides of the peninsula. I was warned by the locals not to use it. It already belongs to the beasts. What about the northern coast? I only know of another inn. It's far from here, maybe a day on foot, a bit less from the eastern side. His eyes once again focus on the floor. I've never been there, but I've heard it's a safe place. Close to villages, fishers and hunters, though I don't know much about them. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about this inn. It's a pretty big inn. So you do know a thing or two, after all. His mocking tone is soon replaced with a gentle smile. It was built long before we arrived. It didn't work well for the previous owners. Once the war ended, they left. Not enough travelers, bad trade, the villagers stick to themselves. We, however, came prepared. And now we're prospering. When you ask him how they can afford all the supplies, he runs his fingers through his dark hair. I'm not against running an inn, but we don't rely on guests. We are the ones doing all the trading. My hunters are a clever bunch and stay safe in the forest. In exchange for furs, claws, and bones, we get what we need and more, both from the south and the north. He moves to the window and peeks outside. We have a good life here. We spent a whole lot of armor and crossbows, lumber, spears, but in another 10 or maybe 20 years, we'll have enough savings to move to Hoveland and not work for another day of our lives. We take risks, but smartly. The team is stronger than ever, and I have big plans for us. Okay, so he has some hunters. I'm surprised to find a purple-skinned man so far in the north. Purple skin. Pretty surprising for me as well, but even more surprising for the dudes to be in the north, apparently. I ain't seen a soul looking like this since my ma died, he shrugs. It's not a fascinating tale. Let's just say I wasn't part of an invasion, yet I am glad It freed all those who were chained by the cities and their corsairs. He looks at the wall. I am Layson, by the way, or Yason. I think that's an I. But I rarely hear the name. Is there a good story behind the inn's name? I mean, there is a story, but not a good one. He clears his throat. For years I wanted to have an inn called Pelt. But in my city, it would be in a bad taste. Taverns and inns named with a single word were cheap, had a nasty reputation. There was the Claw, Mugger, Basilisks, Blissful, I think. The good places used 2 words, at least. Empty barrel, a rose, and a helmet, Empress. Or was that like a whole thing? Oh, Empress Smile. Big head was the exception. It was a real dive, he chuckles. In my soul, it is just a pelt. Pelts are where we came here for, and what will make us reach our goals. Okay. What about this Glaucia's band? He wants me to get the answer from the mayor. Okay. Any rumors? He crosses his arms. I don't like to talk about people who ain't nearby. Show me first what that you are someone worth changing habit for. Okay, let's go outside. Forage for the berries. Did we talk to the... What time is it? 12 hours from before dusk. Okay. Did we talk to the guards? The woman in yellow armor is kneeling next to a brown-haired boar, which is resting on its side. The beast is not as large as the dark ones from the forest. It responds to the touch of the human's hand and brush with grateful grunting and rapid twitches of a hind foot. No matter how friendly it appears, it is still tethered to the well, and you have no doubts it is change would leave Twinkletoes dead in a breath. In his charge, right? Charge. Kill my horsey. When the woman notices you, she steps forward to the boar's disappointment. So, the new Roadwarden. She points at the window with her chin, forestalling the question. We don't need anything now, but when we travel with our furs, we could use some assistance. She may be around 30, but her warm voice and bright smile are camouflaging the touch of time on her unpowdered face. Like many red-haired people with freckles, her skin is unhealthily pale. The boar runs up to her, observing your boots and fruitlessly sniffing for food beneath the beaten ground. She pats its back, but maintains her focus. How about a game or 2? We have a bit of time and we can talk a bit about this and that. Maybe you will get a couple of coins or lose one. She winks. We could play dice or throw axes at a target. Ooh. I'm a warrior. I should be able to have this one. Yeah, let's throw some axes. Your arrival, and especially the dragon bone you pull out, are cheerfully welcome. The guards prepare a couple of wooden planks, which are leaned against the wall. They're also spectators, and you're told that the other hunters are either sleeping or off duty on the tower. Remember, no magic, says one of the players. His face is deadly serious. I don't even do magic, man. I'm not a mage. There are going to be 4 participants and 8 rounds. You aim at the target drawn with charcoal. The person whose axe lands to the closest to the center of the circle gets a point. Axes that fail to stay in the plank don't count. The person who has the most points at the end becomes the winner. Sure. You talk a lot, but you also don't say much. You share casual jokes, memories, and views on luck and optimal strategies. Twinkle Toes and Tulia's camps are also brought up. But when you ask about the roads and the locals, their stories are vague. The drinks are here. It is a poor beer made from leftovers after regular brewing. It is cold, sweet, and doesn't reach your head. But you try to avoid the smell. You don't spill anything, the boar might get sick, says the opponent with one arm. Just don't spill anything, right? As a guest, you start with the first throw. Your axe flies well, hitting the very middle of the painted target and piercing the plank with a pleasant thud, which makes it really difficult for the other players to outperform you. A minute later, you've won the first round, but you can't expect to be that lucky every time. All I can do is try my best. Force, use violence or a direct threat. I've trained in axe throwing for years. I've got this. So this is a... Okay. After getting your 4th point, the other players nod with respect. Quite a score. You hear from the guard in the yellow armor as she hands you your dragon bones. The other participants carry away the remaining planks. So we got some coins. Excellent. 5 again in total. Excellent. Have you ever been at the heart of the woods? We sometimes hunt south from here. There are good hunting grounds in the western half. The second one is too overgrown. Maybe the soil is different, she shrugs. When she moves the hair away from her forehead, but it is a risky spot. There are threats there, and wolves, and even furless ones. Wolves without fur, like those cats without fur. And if you have to go through the tall grasses, watch out for what's on the ground. There ain't many archers in the trees, she smiles, as if it's a joke, but there are too many worms, even larger than a water leak. The innkeeper asked me to forage for berries. She chuckles. Oh, don't worry about it. Usually we forage by ourselves, but we won't ask you for a dragon for a meal. He gives small jobs to people all the time, just to see who agrees to do them. Wants to judge who's of use and who's too proud for their own good. If you've agreed, just be sure to get those berries today. And don't try to take his tools away. He hates thieves. Oh. Still 11 hours and 30 minutes till dusk. Okay. So we should get on that. Okay. Sure. Tell me about yourself. Oh, what was that? With a brief giggle, her voice gets cold and serious. Nah, Roadwarden. We use names and stories among friends. You ain't one. Don't make me tempt curses. She doesn't trust me enough to tell me about herself. Okay. What about this place? Not much to tell, honestly. There are many beasts around, both wild game and dangerous monsters. We spend our time surrounded by these walls, living only to hunt, forage, or trade. That is an unusual tower. I expected it to be closer to the gate and shorter. Like in Hovaland? Olavan? Fair. But it ain't here to protect the gate. This stronghold was built long before we moved in, and not to fight off humans. The tower was meant to be used by those who observe the deep forest. We look out for fires, dragons, and any winged creatures that look to roast on the roof. Badly, she nods towards a man who indeed is completely bald, has a great eye, and sees even in the darkness. Baldy. So it's a watchtower, really. Not a stronghold tower. Any interesting creatures living nearby? Here? Everything lives here. She flips her hair. I swear, we saw a few dragons, a unicorn family, a battle between trolls and goblins, faced 2 beastmen, oh, and a gargoyle, and a hunting queen shouts all the time. Hunting queen. I could tell you all about them, but I won't. He winks and pats the boar on his head. You know, hunters have their secrets. Your group seems quite attached to this boar. Okay, time doesn't fly by. I was afraid it would be like, and now another half hour passed. No, it's fine. How could you not be? She crouches and raises the boar's head, but it sweeps away and squeals as if someone's murdering it. It came with us from the city, just in case. We had no clue how our first winter would go, so we needed some backup meat. And it works, too. Cleans the dirt. She reaches out to the beast again, but it trots away. The woman straightens up with a pleased sigh. We haven't needed to eat it so far. So it's backup meat, really. The pet boar is a backup meat. Okay. It's also funny. I learned in my village that farm boars are getting a bit smaller and more cuddly, kind of like ibexes. So it's not so much a wild, dangerous beast, but we don't let it get too close to the other animals or children. Yeah, it said it would like charge my horsey and kill it, so not good. So what do you usually hunt for? Anything we can eat or sell. If there is a partridge, a squirrel, or a rat, we don't complain. But when we move as a group, we look for something larger. Deers, auroch are delicious, but we won't, whatever those are. Auroch? But we don't always look for taste alone. There's value in bones, antlers, claws, tusks, things people use to make tools or sculptures. We use some of them to make tools or spears. You can never have enough spears. She pauses and looks at a strand of her hair. Then she suddenly speaks up again. And we look for furs, of course. Furs. What can I find north from here? I'm sorry, we don't really go to those regions. We stay close to the home. Only sometimes move south or west to Hovler's Dell, but only to trade. There's fine with buying more than they need, since they then take wares to the coast. She takes a long breath, twirling her hair and gathering her thoughts. You know what? I've never even seen a beach, and I've been living here for many more than 10 years now. She giggles. Only a part of the sea I've seen. That was the old Pagos, which is a place on a hill. I've never put a toe in salt water. She looks towards another huntress, who confirms that her experience is the same. But Old Pagos is a good place. As long as you don't mock their order and act nice, they will also be kind. Boss says they're too serious for him to stand them. But at least... too serious. But at least they don't bite without a reason. Okay. What about necromancers? It's something new. Her voice lowers to a whisper. I've never been to White Marshes, but over the years we've seen people moving away from there south. They told us that the place has changed too much. A priest died, I think, and a new one awakens the dead. Sorry, Roadwarden, that's all I know. If she's hiding something, she sounds convincing. Interesting. Thanks. I'm looking for knowledge about wild creatures. Well, I told you our knowledge is valuable. I don't know. She looks at the boar, which seems to be obsessed with a clump of grass growing near the wall. 15 dragons, no less. Is there any discount for friends? Well, depending on the friend. She gives you a radiant smile. Let's say 15. If it is too much for you, maybe ask me after we spend more time around. Show us what you're capable of, or play some dice with us when you have an hour to spare. Okay. These folks here, she starts to whisper and points her phone to the guards behind. They crave gossip. Okay. So we talk to the guards. Let's forage for berries, I guess. The innkeeper knew what he was talking about. You put on the gloves and look through the bushes from a safe distance. It doesn't take long before you notice the first serpent lying on a rock somewhere in the thicket. The creatures are not that large, and even if some of them hiss at you or slither closer, the jabs of the hook keeps them at a distance. You don't know much about these berries. They are round and reddish. You wouldn't trust such a color even if you were looking for food in the wilderness. The plants don't have thorns, but the leaves are harsh, so you make sure to thoroughly cover your skin with your clothes. You have to look through many bushes to fill the bucket, but the presence of insects and snakes doesn't allow you to relax. Okay, gather the stuff and go back to the inn. Return to the courtyard. The two guards are participating in a friendly skirmish. Their wrestling is accompanied by a crowd. Enter the inn. You again. Need anything? Let's put the fruits on the counter. Great. He peeps inside the bucket. I've got cabbage stew with a few goose chunks for you. I'd serve it even to merchants, if there were any around. The meal is warm and filling. It's well seasoned and not overcooked. And like I've said, I rarely have food to spare, but feel free to ask if you ever stop by. If you're lucky, and I've been cooking my whole life. You may be lucky. Okay, so we have 2 out of 4 nourishment now. Keep chewing. And how did that old hook of mine work out for you? I see you still have your hands. Give him the hook. I'm fine. He takes the tools from you and nods. Need anything else? No. Okay, so we ate. That's good. Go outside. We have the armor and the well. Still plenty of time in the day. That didn't take that long. It's good. It is good. Okay. Armor. You walk past the well and find a small open shed, not unlike the stable, but with a humble set of tables, carving tools, hammers, sharpening stones, spears, pincers, knives, and other tools. As long as something can be solved by brute force, this place will find a way to do so. There are two people sitting on a long bench. The first one is a male with a maybe inch-long hair, a cleanly shaven face, a thin, long yellow tunic, bare legs, and sandals. He ignores your presence, sewing a gambsone with great concentration. The second person is a boy, maybe 15, who's wearing the crude outfit of a farmer. He glances at you, but soon returns to sharpening a long dagger. You wait for him to notice me. How about that? After a few minutes, the man finishes his task and raises his head. He puts away the piece of garment on the table, stands up, bows to you, and shrugs, waiting for you to speak. He might be able to patch my armor. Maybe not right now, but I may be in need of your services. Could you patch my clothes if they were torn? He shakes his head and points to the uneven seams of his own tunic, then grabs a crude bone needle and shows you its broken head. We won't even if we had the tools, says the boy, but you can try the Hovler's Den or Gale Rocks. So, probably for armor and stuff. Look at a youngster, learning the trade, I see. Kind of, he answers reluctantly, but his teacher pats his knee, giving him a harsh look. The kid clears his throat. Yes, but we both ain't masters, you see. There's not a soul to teach us, so once I'm ready, I'll try hunting instead. Fixing things for others is boring. The man grunts a sound, though you don't understand it. Seeing your face, the boy chuckles. He said, safe. Let's meet in the middle. Boring, but safe. The man nods. Oh. Yes, maybe not right now, but I may need your services. New trader unlocked. He nods, points at the laces in front of your jacket, raises his clenched fingers to his shoulders, then gently spreads and lowers them as if taking off a robe. You follow his command and allow him to properly inspect your gamson. After a few minutes, he gives it back, then reaches out for his pouch, pulls out a dragon bone, shrugs, then another one, and waves both of them in the air. Pursing his lips, he makes a few speech-like noises with an empty mouth, grunting like what sounds like I don't know. Consider his offer. So he can repair it. Oh, so this gamson thing is considered armor and can be repaired, but it's not like clothes that they can't repair. Okay. Your jacket is as good as this armorer can make it. Oh, he can't make it better than 3 out of 4. Okay. He's not that skilled to make it a full 100%. Okay. I feel like this gemstone could use some adjustments. He nods enthusiastically but apologetically points behind him. A small box filled with basic tools. He ain't that experienced, says the assistant. We do this and that, but only the simple things. Okay, I understand. So we only have the well to go to now. The recently renovated wooden roof covers the well from rain and birds. One of the guards is enjoying the cold drink he drew with a bucket and tells you to use only as much water as is necessary. I won't get any cleaner here. You need at least one piece of bathing equipment to get more out of this place. Step away. Oh! Wait a second. About this soap. Now I have soap. Could I wash? Yay, I can wash my shell. Splashing yourself with cold water from a bucket won't take away your smell, but it is enough to remove the tallow and sweat from your skin or mud stains from your clothes. Ah, excellent. Our appearance is getting better. Good. If I go outside, I could travel. Wait, in the inn, can I? Wait until noon. Waiting didn't help with my thing that needs to... I need to take a break? I don't know. Fine, we'll travel. The road uphill meanders, slowing you down and forcing you to pay close attention not only to the shadows of the trees, but also to the tight rocky passages. You cannot help but notice a few caves and a fine ambush spots. Keep an eye out for any sign of life. A ruined village. Standing in front of the gate, you hear two voices, no tools at work, no steps. Dozens of birds along the collapsed roofs, fluttering, singing and squawking, and free of worries. If you want to travel any further, you need to ride around the palisade, search the ruins, may take Searching the ruins may take a long time. The broken gate in the north will lead you to the village. The sound of a gentle river reaches you from the east, where you see a saggy fence surrounding an overgrown pasture. Behind the burnt building in the east, you see a oddly barren field. Let's take a closer look at the gate. The palisade is in good shape, and the entrance wasn't even touched by the fire. It is torn away, possibly thrown. The amount of force used must have been huge, but you expect that it would push the gate into the village, not away from it. You don't see any marks of a dragon bite. A troll could toss such planks, but after so many years, you see no paw prints. A mage? You can't really tell. Okay, let's approach the building. The broken logs and planks are charred, while the wooden walls are rotten and covered in moss. You see no ashes or dust, proving that the fire happened long ago. The smell is awful. There are no reasons to stay for long. You see no furniture, just some broken shelves. It was just a storage room. The valuable odds and ends were already taken by the scavengers. Southwest. Fields, pasture. How about the pasture? You don't find a single sign of livestock that lived here in the past. Any bones, horns, antlers, or dung have already been devoured by the wilderness. The pasture ends at the river. On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. What are the chances that a herd of defenseless animals could get there and survive? The breach in the southern fence wasn't made by some brute force. You find axe cuts in the spots where ultimately broken away. After all these years, there are no tracks that you could follow. Okay. About the fields. You're surrounded by what looks like a field plowed in late autumn, disturbed by hundreds of rain and snowfalls. There is a few clumps of grass and wheat, but a place like this one, abandoned for years, should already have turned itself into a green lea. A barren field, maybe it was overused, but you would still expect the weeds to sprout. Of course, a curse. The path leading west from here ends at the edge of the field, shifting into a meadow, then a forest. In the north, you see a path leading around the palisades. Okay, let's go and inspect the palisades in the west. The tracks of human footwear and many, many more ape footprints cover the path formed around the palisade's breach. As far as you can tell, the freshest footprints lead to the village. The wooden stake spread around the grounds are rotten, covered in mushrooms, small flowers, insects and worms. A good source of animal or goblin food, though you'd expect them to also hunt for birds and eggs. The meadow in the west turns into a forest quickly. The grass is in the north, surrounded by dozens of tree stumps, already covered with moss and fungi. What a fun guy. Going south, you reach a large field, though you don't see any crops. I shouldn't enter the forest, especially not in this area. It is unpredictable. Should we go in? You feel a slight aching in your stomach. Clearing in the west. The meadow is lush and colorful and so dense it's unsafe for a rider. A couple of minutes, you lead Twinkletoes with a rope, avoiding the potential disaster in case a hoof falling into an animal's den. Being forced to travel around the palisades every time you get here is going to be a pain. Most of the tree trunks look similar and have a comparable size. They were most likely planted with the sole purpose of being cut down and used by the locals. Though cutting so many trees at once, that alone could provoke the wrath of the herds. Such a process should be spread across a couple of seasons, and you can't be sure that was the case. In the west and the north, the clearing turns into a wild forest. In the east, you see a road leading north. Explore the northwest part of the village. The colorful grass covers the entire fenced pasture. The large stone placed in the middle suggests it could be a playground for ibexes, or maybe it's just an old garden. You see a couple of small sheds, a latrine, a single building to the south completely burned down. All these places were cleaned by scavengers. Twinkletoes doesn't want to approach the large ruins in the north. The terrible stench of feces and rotting food scares you off as well. The paths are covered with goblin footprints. It is daytime, so the pack should be asleep. If the beasts were active, they would try to scare you off or hunt down your mount. This is their territory, and once they waken up, you will face a furious enemy. I need to go somewhere else. So they're in the village. Barren fields in the southwest. Just the road leading north from the village. Guess we went around this way. You are at the closest northern gate. The neglected road is partially overgrown. You hear a river in the east, separated by lush meadow filled with crickets and rodents. Take a closer look at the gate. Pushed or pulled, it doesn't move an inch. Oh, it's a closed gate. Someone has spread dirt and rocks both underneath and around it, seeming to keep it plank stuck to the ground. Go somewhere else. About the river. You see a quenching family of boars, some of them brown, some of them black. You consider turning back, but they pay you little attention. After a couple of grunts, they run north. The river is not too wide, and yet unusually deep, with banks altered by locals for decades, if not centuries. The water is cold and clean, and yet filled with long plants growing from the bottom. You'd rather avoid jumping inside and drinking from it, but you are tempted to at least wash your face, neck, and hands. Dozens, if not hundreds, of small fish are looking for tasty leaves. But also try to avoid their predators. A dance of life completely unaware of your presence. You suddenly realize there's something else buried along the kelp. A rusty sickle sticking out of the ground, a couple of stone axes and hooves. The wooden handles and large wagon are covered with moss, but you recognize their shape. Why would someone drop them there? On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, unpenetrable for a rider. Consider washing myself in the river? Sure. I need 3 pieces of bathing equipment to get more out of this place. Oh, okay, so I can't get cleaning. Okay. Explore the barren fields in the southwest. And I can't... Oh, I can go. Okay, let's go. You enter the wetlands. There are many streams, ponds, and fish. Large birds run and fly between gray, sparse trees that are covered with moss, mushrooms, and critters. For a human, it may be unwelcoming and a harsh realm, but the overwhelming swarms of insects prove that it is a realm full of life. The danger with teeth and claws is hidden below the water's surface. Stay away from the banks. This plant shouldn't be alive, not without leaves. It doesn't resemble the other trees of the wetlands. It is something else. Oh, it's the magic tree, right? You get off your horse and prepare your axe. The water is filled with dirt and dead plants. It smells like an old corpse. The roots are spreading far, breaking through the water's surface. You don't see any saurisans in the grasses or on the shore. You approach the table-like altar made of 3 limestone slabs. These rocks originally are formless, and as they are now, or was there a point in time centuries ago when they were precisely shaped and decorated by masters of artistry? There's no way to tell. Twinkletoes is peacefully observing the dark grass and slapping flies with its tail. Whatever it is that you feel in the air, it's clear that your companion sees this place through thoroughly different eyes. I smile and scratch the bottom of his neck. Go ahead. I'll look around for just a moment. You don't see any creatures nor humans. Approach the altar. There is clumped dirt in the uneven nicks, fused by years of winds and rains. The bottom surface of the table is dusty. But you don't find any spiderwebs or mold, even though it is a perfect spot for them. The tree roots clinging to the altar in many spots. They are firmly attached. You struggle to move them even by an inch. The cream-colored limestone is cold and smooth. Try to make an offering. Food, for example. Okay, food. We have some food. You place any type of food you can in your sacks on the nearby plants, but none of them seem to make any difference. Walk away. Look into the river. Oh, did we lose? Apparently not. We had 5. I thought we would have... okay. Step cautiously without knowing how deep it gets. You have to consider that a saurison could be camouflaged in the mud, waiting for a victim to get near. Since you don't plan to kneel down and drink, you're hoping to dodge a potential strike. Once you get closer, you start breathing again. While the water is dirty, it is also hollow. You see the vegetation, swarming insects, and even small fish. All of them stay away from the tree roots, which look like spider web covering the bottom of the pond. Aside from that, you don't see anything that would catch your attention. Take a closer look at the roots. You kneel in front of one of them that's lying on the shore. It is brown, covered with hair, and resembling that of your arm. When you touch it, it is moist, soft, and warmer than you'd expect. Maybe the tree is like eating up insects and stuff. Or fish? Or things? I'd do something with it. Kick? No, not kick. Poke? I did make an offering. We made food offering. Nothing happened. I don't want to say anything. Maybe a fish? I don't know if you can just type anything. Don't possess such an item. Yeah, I don't have a fish. That's fine. Walk away. Let's travel south. The shapes of the mountains are cutting through the horizon. The water gets gradually less muddy. The clearer it gets, the more animals you see. An animal of deer blocks the road, resting and enjoying the cold water, which would be deadly for a human stomach. You consider riding. Why would it be deadly for a human stomach? Around them, through the sparse meadow, but your presence also causes them discomfort. Without much haste, they regroup and run east into the leafy forest. Travel more. Further. You've reached Hag Hills. The wall of stones has been blocked by the city's grasp. The one well-established route through them leads through the valley, where you find Tula's camp. There are no maps of the highlands, nor local tribes, only stories. The beaten path leads you by the garden beds and herbs and vegetables to an old yet not abandoned mine, hidden behind a massive door made of steel. Look around, there is no hitching rail for a mount. A bearded, skinny elder sits still on a bench, observing you like a sculpture, with his legs crossed and fingers interlocked on his abdomen. I think something has swallowed your wall, old man. Better move your veggies inside. I get off my horse respectfully. Yeah, let's do that. Let's be respectful. You dismount and keep your eye on Twinkletoes. You greet the old man, and he nods back at you. You mention that you have a few questions. There's cold civility in the air, as if you were sharing a table at an inn. I need you to look at me whilst you speak. His strict voice reminds you of a master of a craft guild, though his thick accent distorts his image. I can nee hear na without magic, but I will read your lips. I've nae wish to talk about your daily struggles, traveller. It's nae a refuge nor strangers. Say what you're looking for, and let our paths split. He doesn't yell, but his voice is not used to being opposed. His face is wrinkled, but he sits straight, with beard and hair still carrying glimpses of fair blonde. He stands like a worker, and his eyes are blue and piercing, as if they belong to an infant. Okay. And explain who we are. What do you call him? Example, old man. What do you call him? How about gardener? Gardener. He stares off across the garden beds, forcing you to wait in silence. The elder is tall, with a long hair and beard that has let loose a long time ago. His sandals are covered in dust, and you spot dirt on his clothes and skin. The wooden tunic and linen were made with care, decorated with colorful threads at the collar and sleeves. Now all the blues and greens have faded, and the fabric is held together by patches and stitches. His hands are still folded, his voice remains firm. You do nae know our customs. Your name, your trade, your calling means nothing to the forest. I do nae know what you expect to find here, but this is nae place for a strangers. I do my best not to smirk. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I wait for him to look at me. The man stands up and approaches your palfrey. Without touching it, he observes its eyes, mane, stomach, and rear. Twinkletoes ignores his examination. My nose was right then. Asturion is dead. And are his plans. Such is the fate of all dreamers. He turns towards you with a grim look. Are you going to look for him? You nod. Why? If he's vanished into the fogs, there's nae point in putting yourself in danger. What do you expect to find? If he's dead, I want people to know about it. He may need my help. Do you believe that? That a man with no power over animals could disappear in the wilderness and survive for that long? He lets out a chilling laugh. I bow to your optimism. He doesn't actually bow. If you want to say it is honest, you and I could share our paths one day, defend those who can help themselves, if something like that. make me whole. He takes a deep breath and smiles. You have some questions for me? I nod. Ooh, a lot of questions. But that will be for another time. Way too much reading. Aloud. So I will stop and we'll come back to this some point. I think tomorrow maybe a demo. But after that, maybe this again. We'll see. Bye.